So, ever since I have been talking about solo leveling, Tower of God, etc., etc., there's been a lot of recommendations pouring in. I asked for all of you guys to recommend me some series that I might be interested in. Something that might pique my interest to where I want to talk about it, pick it up, read it, maybe even do chapter reviews of it. And many recommended me unOrdinary alongside of solo leveling when it was recommended. Now, personally, solo leveling was recommended a hell of a lot more at its, start. Like when I was doing the Tower of God video, it was recommended a lot more. But unOrdinary was still probably the second most recommended story out of all the others. And so I was like, okay, I like solo leveling, still reading it by the way, fantastic, and I do want to do more videos on that, so do not worry. And I'm like, okay, so people are already recommending me some really good stuff. Like, I've loved solo leveling, I love Tower of God, etc. And so I'm like, let's check out unOrdinary. I've heard some good things, I want to see it for myself. I really had no idea what to expect from the story. I had no idea. Like, I didn't even know what it was about at all. And so I went in completely blind, had no idea, and I ended up reading about 14, 15 chapters very quickly. So that kind of says a lot. It was a really good read. Very, very good read, actually. I really love the start. It's a fantastic start, and it's definitely something I think many of you out there that watch my videos might be interested in, because there is a series I talk about that this series reminds me of. And so, to get right into it, this series really reminds me of My Hero Academia. Or, to be a little bit more specific, I'm talking about the general theme of My Hero Academia. Its main theme of the series is for Izuku to become the #1 hero, but also to correct hero society. That's kind of the big thing of the story. It's constantly exposing the problems with hero society and how there needs to be something done to change it to really help out a lot of people. It's never going to be perfect, but something does need to be done to really reform society and make it a lot better place for everyone. And when I was reading unOrdinary, the first 14, 15 chapters or whatever, I had that familiar feeling of My Hero constantly just hitting me while I was reading this. I'm like, the MC reminds me a lot of Izuku, or at least Izuku's circumstance when it came to him at the beginning of the story. Maybe not when he, obtained One for All, but when it came to the circumstance of Izuku being quirkless, I was reminded of that situation with the MC. So that brings us into what unOrdinary is about. unOrdinary is about a character, from what I could see so far. He might have an ability, I don't know. But from what I could see so far, he's a character that is effectively labeled a cripple. And when you really think about Izuku and his story, he's labeled as a cripple. He's labeled as someone that's basically quirkless. Before he got One for All, he was labeled as someone that had nothing. He was useless, weak. He was a rare exception amongst society. It wasn't normal. And that's kind of what the MC of this story is about, unOrdinary. He is a character called John, and he is someone that actually, he has nothing. He has no ability. That's how he's introduced. He has nothing. And he's surrounded by these powerful individuals that are able to, enhance themselves, be able to, slow time or something down, etc. Basically, overall, everybody around him has an ability, and he is the only one that doesn't. And so, he stands out. He is definitely someone you could say is unOrdinary. Because in a world that is filled with powers and stuff, what was once abnormal is now normal. And so those that were once, normal are now abnormal. And that's kind of what you can look at as the MC. John is the character of someone that is unOrdinary amongst this society because he has nothing. He has no power. The only thing that he probably really can do is his words, to be able to talk to individuals, maybe inspire others, etc., from what I can see. So it gives him a really different type of character, a feeling than you would normally see from these type of series I have read, at least from the Korean manga standpoint, webtoons, etc., because usually they're all power fantasies. Not all of them, but most of them. And I figured that's kind of where this story was going to go. It might still go that way, but at the very least, the start of this is not that. The MC is definitely not the typical or traditional power fantasy character that gets really strong very quickly and decimates, which there's nothing wrong with that. I love solo leveling for that. I love Overlord and etc. for that. I'm just saying that it's just nice to see a little bit of a change of pace with at least the beginning section of this story, of Unordinary. And I wonder how he's going to be able to continue actually proving himself and deal with problems that he faces without an ability at all. Which leads into the main story. So, besides obviously him being crippled or whatever, like basically having no ability, he is someone that is constantly getting into trouble. Because the society he's currently in isn't necessarily a society that is pleasant. It's not a society that people without abilities can even last in. Even people with abilities would have a hard time living there because people are always picking fights, apparently turf wars, etc., which is just overall really bad. It seems like life expectancy is definitely going to be very diminished compared to what we expect. So that's my personal 2 cents on it. But the point is, though, is that there is a lot of violence, a lot of fighting, and strength pretty much determines who is on top. If you are weak, then you're on the bottom. There is a hierarchy system that is built in within the society, and so whoever is strong is able to bully the weak and get what they want. And we see many examples of this throughout the first 10 to 15 chapters of just seeing these different characters able to get what they want because they are stronger, they are superior, and the ones weaker, even with weaker abilities, cannot stand up to them. Like, there was a major example made in the first to second chapter of the story to where the MC encounters this dude that's obviously way above him in strength, but he starts talking about, when I compare you to everyone else, you're weak. Like, you only have a simple enhancement. You're able to increase your speed a little bit or whatever. That's nothing in comparison to all these other people in the world that's basically gods. So you're nothing. You're really low on the totem pole, and so yeah, you really shouldn't be getting happy because you're able to pick on someone that's basically like me with no ability. So yeah, I think that I really do like the theme of this story, kind of showcasing that, and showcasing that what the fundamentals, how the world looks at things. And you have a character that joins her MC, that's the female character, that is very different. Obviously, she is someone that's been gifted since a very early age. When she was born, she was given an ability that makes her really strong. It's not fully explained yet, I don't think, about how her ability works, but overall, she has a really strong ability. She is at least someone that is able to definitely stand off or take anyone down that faces her with ease. Like, she's OP, for at least from what we can see. She's probably not the strongest, but she is pretty strong. And so because of that, we have this, like, mixed, like, contrast between the two characters. You have John that's the weak cripple, and then you have this strong character that's hanging out with him, and you're like, why are you doing that? Are you having a crush on him, or is there something else going on? Are you just intrigued because this character, this individual, is such a weird individual that's so different from everyone, you're wondering how he's even lasted this long. And so there's a lot of unique things about how unOrdinary likes to introduce things, and these characters really are quirky and have their own style to them that I personally enjoy. So, I want to talk about the artwork. So, when it comes to webtoons, manhwa, and, Korean manga, etc., whatever you want to label them, artwork can vary very greatly when it comes to these type of series. It can be very good, it can be sketchy, and there are their own different quirks about them, and that's what really makes this type of read very unique. You always don't really know what to expect because there isn't really a staple art style. When you look at manga, for instance, you recognize the staple art style. You know, okay, this is manga, it looks exactly like a manga. But when you look at this, it doesn't really have that. There's so many unique designs and characters that you really never know what you're going to expect when you read one of these stories. And at the very least, from what I can see from unOrdinary, it really does have a good art style that is very traditional manga style. And it does have a cross with, obviously, the style that you would see from Solo Leveling. And I do like just the beauty of it. It's definitely something that shows that it isn't, let's say, 10 out of 10. But the art quality definitely suits the series. And I'm willing to bet that the series has lasted as long as it has. And there's so many people praising unOrdinary that most likely the artwork is improved. I mean, let's look at Tower of God. Let's be honest, Tower of God didn't start off 10 out of 10 with its art. It's a good story. I love it. I love that story. I would still read it if the artwork was the same from the first chapter. But let's be honest here, the artwork improved a lot from Tower of God's first chapter all the way to where it's at now. So when you look at that, obviously writers and artists can improve with time, and I'm assuming unOrdinary has done the exact same thing. So I am looking forward to it because of the origin of this start and how good it looks. I cannot wait to see how the newest chapters are, which, by the way, I don't even know how many chapters really is in this. I'm assuming probably 40, maybe 50. I don't really know, but I do plan on catching up like I am planning to catch up with Solo Leveling, so don't worry about that. But yeah, it's a good story. I do like what I saw so far. I want to read more, and thank you so much for everyone that recommended this story. I do like it. Thank you. And so I'm going to quickly ask before I wrap up this video, if you guys want to see more videos on, let's say, unOrdinary or Solo Leveling or even other manhwa, let me know in the comments below. And if you have any recommendations or something for me to check out, please do so as well, because I am very curious, because, I mean, it's like a whole new world, honestly, for me. I'm experiencing so many new things I've never really seen before, and I never got to experience it. It's just really unique, and I think it's a whole new, like, uncharted territory of literature and stuff for me. So if you have any good recommendations, you know, let me know in the comments below. I'm very curious about it. So with that, I love you guys. You have a wonderful day, or not, wherever you live. Please stay safe, stay healthy. If you enjoy my content, you know, subscribe. If you like this video, please leave a like. And if you want to get notified for whenever I upload a video, please click the bell icon down below. And with that, Chibi out.